Good morning, getting the train into Johnstone today. I'm going to walk from Johnstone to Elderslie to Paisley. Now most of it is a main road. I might take a little bit of the cycle track, but generally I don't think there's much to see in this cycle track at that part of it. So I might just try and find a few landmarks upon the way, try and make it a wee bit more interesting. That's me made it to Johnstone. If I'm over to the left we go the cycle route. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick to the main road for now because I want to show you the Wallace monument, which I would miss if I took the cycle route. The Wallace monument is in Elderslie, the birthplace of William Wallace. This might be a noisy walk, following this road all the way to Paisley. I might have to find a bit of peace in the cycle track, at least for part of the way. Elderslie, birthplace of Sir William Wallace. Elderslie's a bit nicer than Johnstone. Johnstone town centre, for as long as I can remember, has been an absolute hovel. Even before the right-wing politicians destroyed every town centre in Britain, it was a hovel. Elderslie's a wee bit nicer with all these lovely wee bungalows and houses. There's a church just up in the distance there, and I think the Wallace monument is not too far past that, but on the other side of the road. There's also something else. There's a tree called the Wallace yew tree, yew being the type of tree, Y-E-W. I think it's somewhere near the Wallace monument, but trouble is, I can't tell the difference between a yew tree, an oak tree or any other tree. There's a wee old church. It's not the prettiest church in the grand scheme of things, but still, you're limited for landmarks along this road. The Elderslie Kirk. That looks like the Wallace monument ahead of me. So, take a quick detour up here. I believe it is called the Wallace Monument, but unlike the Wallace Monument in Stirling, it's not hundreds of feet high. Hundreds of feet high even. Feet? How many feet you got? Welcome to the traditional site of William Wallace's birthplace. Wallace was a hero of Scotland Wars of Independence against England during the 13th and 14th centuries. Apparently there was a significant fortified structure here, which may have been the Wallace family home. Foundation walls conceal remains of the 15th, 17th century building known as Wallace's house. Yeah, it says the Wallace yew tree at the rear of the site is at least 300 years old. So I don't know what a yew tree looks like. It says the rear of the site, so there's the foundations of what was the old building. And this monument was built in 1912, I believe it said. And a settlement on this site at least since the 13th century. So that one, that'll be the yew tree there, and that fence. The Wallace yew, thought to be 300 years old. So there's a Wallace monument. I'm going to do a circular of it. It's got these cool carvings. Scottish patriot born at Elderslie, Renfrewshire, circa 1270 AD, who from the year 1296 fought dauntlessly in defence of his country, liberty and independence in the face of fearful odds and great hardship, being eventually betrayed and captured, brought to London to put to death near this spot on the 23rd of August 1305. His example, his example, heroism and devotion inspired those who came after him to win victory from defeat. His memory remains for all time a source of pride and honour and inspiration to his countrymen. A replica of the plate on the floor at Westminster Hall. His body be suspended on the gibbet at Newcastle on Tyne, another quarter at Berwick, another quarter at Stirling and a fourth quarter at St Johnstone. He had no tomb, he needed none. These 6 plaques erected by the Clan Wallace Society to commemorate him. There you go. You know, I used to walk past here loads of times. I used to do a long walk when I lived in Paisley in the West End, quite often during the summer, out to Johnstone and back, and I've never once walked up there and read what's on the plaque until today. There's a benefit to filming. It kind of forces you to go and absorb what's round about you. This road is annoying, so I'm going to join the cycle track. But if I go that way, it takes me back to Ayrshire. So I need to rejoin it just a wee bit further up here, I think. The cycle track ends briefly at this wee bit of road. So the sign here says Paisley 2.5 mile, Glasgow 12 mile. That's on the cycle track, so that's not too bad. So this last section of Elderslie, where you leave Elderslie to go to the west end of Paisley, again has a lot of these nice houses. But once you reach Paisley, it's an absolute eyesore at the west end, so I'm not going to film much of it. What I'm going to do is try and get into Ferguslie Gardens, which is a park with a pond in the west end. All those drivers stuck behind a peloton. No luck. I love that house across the road with the ivy on it. So pretty. A house I could quite happily stay in. Right, onto the cycle track because I need peace for all this traffic. There's only so much of a busy road I can take. So I'll walk this cycle path for a while. I could go on an extra long route because the cycle path takes me right into the centre of Paisley. But if I do that, I'm going to walk right past Ferguslie Gardens. A wee bit of graffiti, which actually isn't too bad. It's quite stylised, isn't it? Aye, so I don't know if I want to stay on the cycle track and just suffer the unpleasant scenery of the West End from Fullbar Road down to Ferguslie Gardens. I'll decide when I get up here. Because, truth be told, I don't think the cycle track is particularly scenic here either. I wouldn't be surprised if I found a few smashed bottles of Buckfast. This wee bit's nice though, with the trees. A road on the right and a railway line on the left. Tell you're heading into a big town, which Paisley is. The dog walkers ahead of me with a lead stretched out across the width of the pavement. I've moved it now. Well, I keep going on about the big houses, fancy houses, because you really are hard up for landmarks between Johnstone and Paisley. You always see the joggers on a Saturday morning. It's actually quite peaceful here now when you get away from the road a little bit. But you do go up through the houses near Fulbar Road. So none of this area is what you would call scenic, really. I should know, I lived around these parts for a long time. I don't want to take an exit here, because if I exit here, I'm still walking along the main road. And to be honest, it's ugly, run down, full of traffic. So I'm going to keep going towards town centre and the hospital. And maybe there'll be a nicer exit further up. There's an exit here, is there? It takes you into that house in the estate. Go a bit further again. This isn't too bad actually. I was honestly expecting to see a lot of broken glass on this cycle track. So last time I was on it at this part years ago, it was just a mess. It actually looks alright. That made me reluctant to come along it, but it's better than I remember. I wonder if all these trees have always been here. They look newish. I mean, I don't think I've walked this cycle track or cycled it for 25 years. And I can't remember if these were just baby trees, new planters at the time. A lot of that housing is new, or newish. Been there a while, that's maybe about 25, 30 years old. I'm getting out of breath now because it started off as a cold day, it's got quite warm now, which is making me sweat a bit and pant a bit like a thirsty dog. I could really do with moving back to Paisley, back into civilization. Everybody I know lives here or in Glasgow. All my pals, most of my family. So I moved out of Ayrshire years ago. At some point I should really consider moving back here. It's just a bit of an upheaval. Having to move house and move the old sickly cats that I've spoke about before. So I can't really be bothered with the hassle and the expense. Trouble with being self-employed is it doesn't bring in a lot of money. So if you need a website built for you, I'm your man. Some noisy magpie there. This is going to be a bridge I like. It's one of these angled bridges. I like it when they cut across at an angle. An angled arch. Aye, that's one of those bridges I like. Look at that, it just looks so cool with the shapes. Trying to work out exactly where I am. Up that embankment might be possibly towards the Lord Lounsdale pub and the hospital maybe. There's a sign up here, maybe that'll give the game away. And if it is there I might go off, so I'm going to get the map out. So this exit is Green Road, which is a bit up from the Lord Lounsdale. So what I might do is exit at the next turn off up here, which will be the Lord Lounsdale, and that'll take me down to Maxwelton in the west end of Paisley. And it's very busy with traffic there, so I might turn the camera off for a bit. the sound of the summer. Power tools. Okay people, I am exiting here. And I'm going to try and find a route through the house into Ferguslie Gardens, because it's directly to my left here, if I can find a route. If I can't find a route and I have to follow the main road, it means I've got to double back, and I'm far too lazy for that shenanigans. I think I go left here. That'll take me onto the main road. Right into the house, that's the main road in front of me. It's Lounsdale Road and Lounsdale pub there. Now my niece lives just right behind that pub. I should really chap her door and get a drink. But I'm no one for turning up unannounced. She'll be like, what are you doing here? So I'm going this way. But I don't know if I go right or left. I think I go right, then left. Turn left here, then right, then left, then right. Hope that's clear. No, I forgot that old mill building was there. Gorgeous old building. The gatehouse, it's called. Cracking building, just stuck in the middle of a house in the estate now. Isn't it? I think that's the way I go actually, down past here, over this wee bridge. There you go, I found you a beautiful landmark. To the river here. It's one of the old Coates Mills buildings. There's some left standing, thankfully. So that is a cracker. Back amongst housing. Yeah, that's the old West Primary School up there. And my niece used to go. And the worst Prime Minister in 500 years, Liz Truss, went to. So there you go. Can't all be smart like my niece. You've got to have a Liz Truss in the world as well. So if I avoid that street there, because that takes you up to the cemetery. Take the next right turn. This next right turn next to that old building up ahead should take me directly to the gates of Ferguslie Gardens. So I'm walking back the way I came a wee bit, but not too much. Just got no choice because I've got to meander through this house in the estate. So that building up there just ahead of me, I'm not sure where it is. It might be is it a public hall? Maybe a Masonic hall? I'm not sure. It's a nice old building anyway. I see the date 1886 at the top here. Well, I'd like to say the West End was nice, but that street there looks lovely. I couldn't tell you much about who lives in them, but the buildings themselves look nice. Not all of them do right enough, as you'll see when I get up to the main road here. Some of them are an absolute eyesore. There we go, Ferguslie Gardens. There's a kids' play park up to my right, so I'm not going up there. I'm just going to go up around the pond and back down the other side here. The pond is to my left, but you can't quite see it from here. You know, it must be at least 25 years since I've been in this park as well. I can't remember if if this actually does loop around the pond or if it just heads away up the back of the park. I think it's a loop. I'll soon find out. It's uphill and I'm sweating because it's been pretty cold when I left the house. It's absolutely roasting now. I'm walking up the hill here, so maybe I'll actually get a view. It's so long since I've been in here, I can't remember what the back of this park is like. It's got these steps, but the steps up onto grass. I'm going to go up the hill and see if I can get a view. Ah, that's right, there's a train line behind me there, so I can't really go anywhere. I forgot about that, because I used to cut across the broken wall at the back of the train line to head into the old cemetery. I used to follow that wall when I was a boy. That was my dad's fault. He had a habit of exploring places. And walls and no entrance signs were no limitation for him. Anyway, that's a nice view. I'm heading back to the path. These old trees. I've been walking too long in these old boots. I can feel a blister on my heel. Despite the fresh insoles I put in them. It's the trouble with walking in cheap boots. Another pair for the bin. There we go, there's the pond. With the swans in it and the ducks. They're all at the far side right enough. When I was a boy, I spent so many days in this park. It's ridiculous. If it wasn't here, it was down to Barshaw, down to the racecourse for a game of football. Happy days. I think that pond's particularly deep. Well, I can't see the bottom of it, so it's definitely murky. I thought it was only about a foot deep. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell you what though, those swans are heading my direction. I don't have any bread and I don't want you to set about at me. I've no food and I don't want you to set about me. Honestly, they're turning towards me. Look at them. They're angling towards me. I don't like these. Go away. These are violent. Hello wee cat. Hello wee cat. Hello there. Oh, you're friendly. You're a friendly wee moggy. Aren't you? Aye, you're friendly. Aye. You're nice to a busy road, so you be careful. Lovely wee moggy. If ever a part of Paisley needed redeveloped, it's the West End. At least there's a big Sun badge there. Right, so I'm going to cut down to the left and down to Bell Street and up to Oakshaw Brae from here. I could go to Oakshaw Brae, be going straight ahead, but I want to walk up the actual steep brae that runs from Underwood Lane. Because at the top of it, there's a John Neilson Institute, which is a lovely big domed building, which I have shown before, but it's worth showing again, because it's a cracker. Oh, just been walking up this brae there, and it's steep, but ahead of me you can see the John Neilson Institute. The gorgeous dome. It was an old school, now luxury flats. I need to stop. Got this graffiti all the way up though. There's a work site behind there, I think. Some view once you get to the top. It's a shame though, you get this gorgeous building. Spray paint graffiti everywhere. Now look at the view. Well, if you can see through the fence. Get a view all over Paisley. And your view's blocked by all this shrubbery and some clatty middens just making a mess here. What a shame, eh? The Oakshaw area of Paisley is lovely for buildings, but there's always the clatty neds that ruin it. Oh, it's just an amazing building. I can look through the fence a bit to see it. Cracking, eh? Absolutely beautiful. I say it was a school many years ago that my oldest sister went to. I think only for 1 year or two before it changed hands. It wasn't flats though. There was obviously some council building after that. I don't know what. I do like the Oakshaw area of Paisley. Like you're right next to the West End, which isn't nice, but up here you wouldn't know that. It's probably my favourite part of Paisley actually, up this end of Oakshaw. My pal used to live in there. It isn't anymore. Well, next building along I think. Last I heard he was living in Newton Mearns, but I haven't spoke to him for years. That's that big spire there is the rear end of the Coates Memorial Church, which looks even better from the front. You can just see it through the trees. If you ever watched Outlander, the TV show, it was in that. I wouldn't mind one of these wee flats up here. It's quite handy, quite central to everything. You can see nice big houses in there, but you can see the rather cool looking spire. And ahead of me is the Coates Observatory. I've been up here before actually and showed you a lot of these buildings, but it's worth just passing it again because they're beautiful. Obviously a bit of work getting done there as well. Everything getting fenced off, which is a bit of a shame. Oh, what a cracking building. I've been in there a few times, but I've never been able to see through the telescope. I think that only happens at certain times of the year. Got a lovely crest in front of the door though, the top of the door, 1884 I think it says. So that's obviously when it was built. What a building. So many nice buildings up here. That church steeple you can just see over the roof. I passed that before when we were speaking about the legend of the man who fell from the steeplejack who fell from the steeple. And they put little little carvings into the cobblestones down here, or little shapes made from cobblestones. I'll show you them once again since I'm passing it. It's a nice old church. Lovely steeple. Before I show you the cobblestones, you can see the view down this hill. Get that view right down. Is this Steny Brae, I think it's called? I forget all the place names of Paisley, so I've not lived here for ages. I think this is Steny Brae. Ah, but there's the church. And the legends of the steeplejack. There's a... I don't know if you can see it clearly. That's the shape of his heart and his handkerchief and his specs. So I thought there was 4, but I don't see a 4th shape, so I think that's it. Cracking building though. I haven't walked down this brae for many years. Used to see all the jakies at the bottom of this brae with their carriers. I wonder if they're still there. Anyway, when I get to the bottom of this brae, that's me at the train station, so just want to say thanks for watching today, and cheerio now.